I honestly did not think that we would be making this video ever. Today we're talking about a guy that I feel like most fans of this channel, or at least people who cheer for the teams that I cover on this channel, would have also cheered for before. That's a weird sentence, but I'm pretty sure this guy's a fan favorite, especially considering the demographic of people that watch these videos. Today we are heading over to the Colorado Avalanche and talking about a middle to top 6, maybe even forward, that was signed on recently this offseason, Tomas Tatar. And no, I didn't want to drag his name out like that Montreal fan got really famous for doing so. I mean, it's a funny meme, but it gets kind of annoying after a while. Today we're talking about Tatar because of the path he had taken to get to the Colorado Avalanche this previous offseason. And we're talking about some of the comments that he made himself regarding his job security with the New Jersey Devils, and how this kind of led to him rejecting the team's offer to keep him around. Let's take a look at the situation here. Tomas Tatar is a 32-year-old forward, 5'10", 172, left-handed guy, plays on both wings. He is a versatile player. Even though he is kind of small, he is still a very good scorer. He is signed to a $1.5 million deal for 1 year with the Avalanche. Now, Tatar made his bread and butter known with the Red Wings. We all kind of remember the multiple 20-goal seasons that he had with the Wings. He got sent over to Vegas for a huge overpayment. He disappointed in Vegas. He was sent over to Montreal in the Nick Suzuki-Max Pacioretty trade. He was good in Montreal, was part of the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals, although he only played 5 games in that playoff run. And then he had signed a 2-year deal with the New Jersey Devils. Now, the Devils contract he had was pretty alright. $4.5 million a season for a guy who, coming out of the Montreal system, was at 30 points in 50 games played. Ever since then, though, Tatar had 2 very nice seasons with the Devils, 30 points, 76 games played in his first year. Not the best, but still not terrible. But last season, he really did come to play, getting back up to 20-goal form and scoring 28 assists in the process. Tatar had 48 points in 82 games played and a goal in 12 games in the postseason, to which he became a free agent and things went awkwardly. You see, Tatar was, I want to say, maybe even a fan favorite in New Jersey. A guy who fit into this top 6, who of course had the cool last name, and with other guys like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, this New Jersey team was looking to being great. And with Timo Meier getting added into the mix too, there was no telling how far this Devils team could go with its forward core. But Tatar needed a contract, which is where things come into play. Because now, if you look at how Tatar has this $1.5 million contract and he's signed on for 1 year, it's interesting to note, but it turns out Tatar actually rejected the Devils' offer to keep him around. Take a look at this article published on New Jersey Hockey Now by James Nichols from earlier last week. Report: Tatar reveals he turned down the Devils' offer, and the reason is he had sought a multiple-year contract, that in which the Devils did not give him. According to a report, former New Jersey Devils forward Tomas Tatar reveals he had turned down an offer from his club. A 1-year offer from New Jersey was on the table, Tatar revealed on the Boris Abramor podcast, but I refused since I wanted to get more term. I only realized later in free agency that it's not possible to get more than a 1-year deal. Then New Jersey acquired Toffoli, and that was it. And this is the ultimate tragedy that comes with betting on yourself in certain situations. Because Tomas Tatar last year, he almost had 50 points in the season. As a middle 6 guy who's making $4.5 million a year, that's definitely not bad. It's even serviceable, you could say. And so for Tatar to be in a position to demand his security and at 32 years old say to these NHL teams, yeah, I want a multiple-year deal. I want to guarantee a few extra dollars in my bag before my next contract extension period comes, because if the guy signs a 3-year deal, that might be the last contract he ever signs. Not saying that Tomas Tatar at 35 years old is not going to be an effective player, but just saying it's possible that he could retire sometime around then. You can understand why the 1-year deal was not desired by him, and since the Devils offered it, Tatar exercised his right to say no. And it is kind of unfortunate considering the story of the Devils. They have such a good team. They bolstered up their forward core tremendously over the past year and a bit. You have so many top-tier talented guys. Tomas Tatar definitely benefited from playing with some of these players, and to turn that all away and say, sorry, I want more years of my contract, definitely is unfortunate. Especially so when you realize that he had that epiphany later on in the offseason that he could not get more than a one-year deal. Unfortunately, the NHL in this specific offseason had a whole bunch of salary concerns, and a whole bunch of teams were not able to exercise their rights to spend as many dollars as they probably could before the cap goes up and with all these other guys still around. So for Tatar, eventually realizing that he could only get a one-year deal, and not really being able to go back to New Jersey because they had acquired Tyler Toffoli, that is the ultimate kicker here. And it's a pretty low-key one, too. It's like, oh, crap. Like, I wanted a multi-year deal. I can't get it. Now I can't go to the team that I was on before because they got this Toffoli guy. My former teammate, by the way, in Montreal, which is kind of funny. And so now Tomas Tatar has signed with the Colorado Avalanche, where he'll also be playing with a former teammate in Artturi Lehkonen. That's going to be a nice little connection to revive there. I think a lot of Canadiens fans just kind of surveying the league and seeing who's here, who's where. Toffoli's moving around, taking up Tatar's place, and now Tatar is reunited with Lehkonen. That's such a nice connection, and if you're able to capitalize on Tatar and Lehkonen, maybe even on the same line, that could be a really solid two-way defensive presence for the Colorado Avalanche and their forward core. Tatar, you might not immediately think of this guy as a solid two-way winger just based off of his numbers, but nah, Tatar was a very good defensive beast, especially on the boards. He was a pretty good player. He just knew what needed to be done. There's a reason why Tatar, Danault, Gallagher got no points in the postseason. It's because they had spent most of their time shutting down opposition. Either way, let's go back over to the article and read what it is that is written about here in regards to Tatar. The Devils acquired Toffoli from the Flames for Igor Sharangovich, and partway through the summer, Tatar remained unsigned. Still unsigned almost 2 weeks into September, he had switched agencies while in pursuit of a new deal. He made the change from Richie Winner of Ray's Sports Agency to new representative with Newport, and then the day after he had signed the one-year deal with Colorado, $1.5 million a year. According to the episode description, before departure and before signing, Tomas Tatar wanted a multi-year contract, ideally until the end of his career, but the situation developed differently. The fact that I didn't have a contract was not the reason why I didn't go to the World Championships, Tatar explained in the interview. There's a little bit more in this piece if you want to go ahead and read this yourself. It's going to be linked in the description, but I wanted to get this conversation going just because it kind of illuminates how the NHL's, let's just say, contract structuring is affecting these players in this specific age range at this time. Because for Tomas Tatar, if he goes out there and has exactly the same season as he had last year with New Jersey in Colorado, let's say he gets 48 points, let's say he gets 20 goals, then all of a sudden, there is an extra opportunity for him to maybe get a bit more dollars and maybe a bit more security next offseason because the cap is going to go up by quite a bit. Having these COVID years and the virus shut everything down, league revenues are down, etc., it's screwed over everything. And it's kind of why teams like Toronto, for example, are so strapped up against the cap because their plan to alleviate more dollars as the cap went up was not able to fulfill itself because the cap didn't go up. If you had multiple teams out there who had more freed up money, maybe then Tatar would have been able to get a multi-year deal. Because I'll tell you this, it's not that he's a bad player. Definitely not. He's a serviceable NHL guy, middle to top six forward. You can play him in the top six if you like. You can play him on a defensive shutdown line if you want. But just the way things are, if he wanted a retirement contract, a contract taking him to the end of his career at 34, 35, 36 years old maybe, it's difficult for teams to really justify paying that amount of term and whatever dollar amount is attached to it to a guy who is already 32. It's difficult when you're at this stage in your career with the cap and everything. It's why Stamkos is still unsigned in Tampa Bay, or at least at the time of recording this audio, he is still unsigned. I mean, Julien Brisebois did say that they're going to have to wait till the end of the season to get negotiations done on that front. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below how Tomas Tatar rejected the New Jersey Devils extension for him in order to get a one-year extension in Colorado instead, because he did not realize that he would not be able to get more than 1 year in this year's free agency. How do you think Tatar is going to do in Colorado? How do you think he's going to do when he is paired up with Lehkonen again, hopefully? And how do you think Toffoli comes in and changes the dynamic of this Devils top six, replacing Tatar? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.